because we got to wait for handshakes from Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Twitch has accepted the stream. YouTube has accepted the stream.
Now comes the fun one. See if Facebook decides to accept it.
Facebook has accepted the stream.
So we're all set to get ready to go.
We're waiting for Facebook to send me the link.
I can see a doggy outside. Okay, so
Dogs.
Facebook said that we're broadcasting, so yeah, that reminds me. So hopefully you'll be able to see anybody who comments underneath our pictures, and we can respond to them. So let's do this. I hate this. So do that. Don't mind me. I'm just mumbling to myself.
The link
That's
has
fine.
been
I do the same thing.
the link has been sent to you, Mick.
I'm doing my shares, so why isn't he not showing up? There he is. Okay, so shares are done. Except I gotta send out one more or I'll get yelled at. There. So they're sent out. So we should be good to go. Did you get the link I sent you in your Facebook?
You have to say who you're talking to.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so we're all set there.
I'm lining up the comments. Oh, you already got a comment.
Anybody want to? What?
Comedic typer.
I don't know who wrote that.
Yeah, they didn't give their name. Well, wait, maybe I can figure it out. Oh, that's Nick,
Oh, it's Nick.
Nick's World.
It was like, where did that come from? That's the reason it didn't show up on the little screen. For some reason, his posts will show up on the main thing, but they won't for a little bit, but they won't show up on the little screens.
See, he just typed in another comment.
It's been so long since I did some typing in Mick's World. You typed last week.
Maybe that's long for him.
Well, last thing I knew, he was planning on going to do puppets in another country, so. Okay, so we're all set.
I'm setting up the comments so you can read them. I think. Okay, you can both read the comments now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
Okay, we're good.
All right, I'm going to start the timer when it says on the air. You are on the air, okay?
Yep.
Right.
Doot, doot, doot. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mick's World with my niece. Introduce yourself, because I can't pronounce your name to save my life.
Hi, I'm Kira.
with my niece Kara. She does a robotics program through school in Louisiana, which is going to be interesting to talk about. So let's get this ball started. It already says I got 5 watchers. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what got you into this program.
So I think it started whenever I was in 8th grade. There were just signups for it, and I thought it was interesting because I really like math and I really like science. It it has a lot to do with like fighting with robots. You build the robots and you fight them, and I thought that was interesting, so I joined. So that's how I got into it.
Is there a guy that goes, "It's robot fighting time"?
We have an MC for the games. He kind of does that.
Your mom said, "Don't forget to tell them your team's unique name."
I don't know if my team captain would appreciate that, but our team's name is the Breadheads.
The what?
I'm not the Breadheads. I am not
Breadheads?
going. Yeah, I'm not going to explain why. That is a very long story, most of which I forgot.
So, okay, so you started this through school, and how many competitions have you guys been in?
Oh, well, I've had a few different teams, but we go through so many, I've never kept count. We've been through a lot.
Any wins?
Yeah, some of my teams have had a few wins. I definitely know some we've had a lot of wins. Recently we came 3rd in a scrimmage. That's like yeah, but we made it to state and worlds. Our school made it to worlds last year. We did not win worlds, unfortunately, but we've had plenty of wins, yeah.
Well, if you ever make it up to Toronto when they have the robot wars up there, that'll be interesting.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
And just so, this is the first year they brought them to Anime North, which was interesting because it was like a large crowd forming around watching them. And they had 2 different they had like the smaller robots, and then they had the bigger robots in the cage.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
So it's
I think-
interesting, actually.
yeah. It is very interesting.
So do you get that opportunity to watch Robot Wars on TV or no?
I do not. Unfortunately.
It's actually interesting because of the way they do it. There's too many competitions up there. The way they did their competitions were I actually like the way they do them, but that's different.
I think for ours, they've changed up the game every year so far. That's what the STEM program does.
So are you looking to maybe at one point in time be able to build a robot to enter into Robot Wars?
I've never really thought about it. I'm going to be honest. It sounds like a great opportunity if I do get that far. I'm not really that good at the building, but I can program. I code a lot, but maybe one day if the opportunity happens.
I've noticed it all comes down to literally them using joysticks or like PS4 controllers to control them.
Oh yeah, we do that at my school too. So what you do is you take the robot and there are motors connected to a brain, and there's a program that you can use on your computer to write out code, and you can code each button to do something specific, like if you want your robot to turn around when you press A, or move the claw whenever you use the joystick. You can program that, and then you can attach it to the controller and run the code, and it will.
That's one of my cosplayers. He loves picking on me.
I know.
Which seems to be that he's off tonight. But that's a different story. But so what robots has your team built, and what kind of things have they done with them?
Okay, so last year I had the same team that I have this year. Last year we built a robot, and we had a string shooter or dragger, and the more string covered the floor, the more points you earned. But with our bot, it's kind of like a snow sled. There was a metal bar at the front that you could use to push the donuts into. I forgot what they were called. That was so long ago. But you could basically use it to move around things and score points. This year, we had a bot, and it was supposed to have a claw, but my team captain ended up scrapping it, and we are currently building a new one. It doesn't have any attachments yet because it's just the frame right now. But that's just some of them we've built.
Deadpool wants to know, can we make a killer robot that will destroy other robots for the robot apocalypse?
As long as the other robots are 18 by 18 inches, because we're only allowed to build that big.
Okay. My brain is like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's a little more than a foot. Actually, no. Foot and a half plus 2 inches. Yeah. That'd be length and width for all sides.
So as the competition goes on, do you get eliminated?
Yes, you can get eliminated. We have gotten eliminated before. So what happens is usually there are alliances. You get put into a team of two teams. There's going to be two robots on either side, one red and one blue. And there's two teams, two robots per team. Yeah. And whoever wins that round, you will get whoever loses gets eliminated. And if you lose enough times, you will just be eliminated from the whole competition.
I just had a weird thought, and it's because Deadpool is chiming in a lot. Have a robot with a lightsaber on it.
I'm sure a few kids have been tempted.
Actually, a lightsaber. The sound effects from the lightsaber from Saber Forge lightsabers would be awesome.
I wish they would allow us to put speakers on our bots. That'd be amazing. I wish we could do that. I'm sure a team has before. There was a team last year that had a sombrero on their robot all year.
She can make me a unicorn robot. Oh my god. Nah, he's got a fascination with unicorns because he's Deadpool.
Yeah, I get it.
One of we set up for a convention just recently, and he had a big, huge, nice setup with his bike, some unicorn stuffies, and some other things. But
I have a few of those.
my other question is, what happens with the actual winner of the competition?
So if you make it all the way through the winner of if you make it all the way through the game, they have finals. And if you happen to be the lucky team that defeats everyone during the finals, I think there's four, you they give you a trophy, and they also give out different awards. They're like last year, I think there was one at it was state, I think. Yeah, it was state. They gave out an award for people voted in, they said who was the nicest team and also who performed the best, things like that. But yeah, the winner gets to take home a trophy.
So let me see if I break this down in a semi way. There's you and your team or your classmates, and then you have a faculty mentor or faculty supervisor. That's the only way I can give it. They
Yes.
give banners for schools like they do in sports.
Okay, so it's a little more than that. See, there is the workers for the company who host this. Then there's different company sponsorships that come. It's a kind of a big thing. We had NASA one year, I think. Then there are your teachers. They do not have any influence on the award giving thing, as far as I'm aware.
Well, I'm not asking
That is
about
the people that work
awards.
the event. Oh, okay.
I'm talking like you said you have a team.
Yes.
And then, like I said, that's your fellow students, and then you have a faculty supervisor.
Your faculty supervisors, yeah, we have those. Your team isn't your whole class.
Well, I meant when I said classmates,
yeah.
I meant
You're
people
right,
that you went to school with.
You're right. Yes.
So, how much influence does the supervisor have on your guys' build?
They don't. We build, we code, we build, we do all that ourselves. They're there to make sure we don't set anything on fire. Yeah. You can ask the teachers for advice or help, but mainly they're there to make sure we are following all the rules that Vex has set out for us.
So technically, they're just there as like your trying to think of the word I'm looking for, as your middleman for the event.
Yes. They also sometimes some of them have taught students how to code and build. Like my teacher, I'm pretty sure he's taught a few students some of the skills that they gained to help them make a bot.
But my question is, like, say you guys are building your bot. He's your teacher, either male or female. I'm not gonna pick a gender right now. They look at your design, and then do they give advice on your design?
No.
Damn. I would figure they would. You're saying they don't get much input, but I was just like, I would figure they would look at your design and maybe point out where there might be a little flaw here or there.
They may ask a few questions, but since we are high schoolers, they did that in middle school, but since we are high schoolers, it is up to us to determine the flaws in our bots and stuff like that.
So the weird question is, how did the program go during COVID? How did your guys' program go during the COVID period where you were stuck at home doing schoolwork?
I actually do not know because I joined STEM after COVID ended, and I was homeschooled for half a year while that began. So I am not really sure how that all went down. I'm sure that since it has a lot to do with it gets very crowded. I'm sure that they didn't do it for a few years because I know a few clubs were canceled because of COVID that one year.
Okay, so now the multi-million-dollar question: how's your driving going?
Our driving.
Your driving lessons.
That's my sister.
Well, your sister's driving lessons then.
Oh, she's doing great. She actually drove me home recently from the DMV, me and my mother. She did very well. I'm very proud of her. Even though I felt like I was going to perish, I was being over dramatic.
That must have been interesting. But back onto the subject. What is what is the best bot you've worked on?
Ooh, probably the one we had last year. That one was good at it. It was very that bot was probably the best I've worked with because it didn't fall apart. It actually did what it needed to do. The program, as far as I know, didn't malfunction at any time during the year. The autonomous program didn't fail. It worked pretty much all the time, and anytime there was a problem with it, we fixed it quickly and it was just fine. So yeah, probably the bot
that was
from
the
last
one
year.
that was the one that shot the string, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Had a
how
snow
did you get
shovel.
the string back? Did you guys have to rewind the string, or did the bot was the bot programmed to retrieve it?
So for us, our string was actually attached to our bot. You don't it's connected, but you shoot it out as far as you can while still holding on to it so you don't lose the string. We had a weight attached to ours, and anytime we needed to get it back, we'd actually have to, after the autonomous period, we'd have to roll it back up ourselves. We didn't code it to retrieve it itself.
That would have been cool, though.
Yeah, I know a few teams that did that, but we didn't.
That would have taken an extra motor and a few other extra parts.
That would have taken a bit.
So, you said that your best one was the one from last year. What have been some of the flaws in your team's bots that have happened to you guys in mid competition?
Mid competition. Actually, I think we didn't have really any other problems except for the snow shovel thing. He called it the pusher last year. The pusher, it would bend upwards and sometimes it missed the discs on the floor, so we'd have to constantly bend it back down. And with the string, sometimes it wouldn't unload correctly during the autonomous period, or it gets stuck on something, or it'd snag, or it something like that. I think it broke at some point. It got tangled.
So, okay, I'm going to ask this. How was the string loaded onto it? Was it just on a spool, or was it?
Yeah, it was on a spool.
So how did it tangle on a spool?
Well, we had a mechanism. How we released it, we had little arm on the bot that would go down, and sometimes the string would get snagged on other parts of the bot as it was being lured down so that we could unload it. It'd get caught, basically. Because sometimes screws would get loose and it'd catch on the string.
So your bot had a few screws loose.
Just sometimes.
Which is a really messed up joke, but it'll work. Though it's always fun to talk about the bots because I've seen them a few different places. Yes, Justin, that's my niece from Louisiana. Which technically she gonna come. She might. One of these days I'm going down there, but
Really?
Nobody's supposed to know that.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes it would get stuck on the goals. But see, I what a lot of people don't know, I spent 8.5 years in Louisiana
Really?
when I was younger because I lived in technically Marrero, Louisiana, just like a little bit outside of New Orleans, and I spent a lot of time along there. I've been through hurricanes and floods and all the lovely stuff.
Yeah. I've been through one of those. Just one hurricane. Laura. I mean, technically the one after it too, but yeah, we had to deal with that. Louisiana.
Yeah, but you're not that far from Mississippi and the Gulf of Mexico for a swim.
I can't swim.
You can't swim.
I mean, I can, just not very well.
Well, last thing I knew, the Mississippi only went up to my knees in the Gulf because of the sandbars. It usually only went up to my knees, maybe my waist.
I don't believe I've ever been to the Gulf. Not within memory. I've been to
But
Mississippi.
yeah, Mississippi's actually nice. I've been to Mississippi, Alabama, well up along the eastern seaboard for different battlegrounds. But I'm trying to think of what else. The other questions. Is your bot track driven or does it have like its own wheels?
Oh, it has its own wheels.
So it's not a track driven bot.
No, no, it has its own wheels. It can go anywhere as long as the wheels are working.
You guys don't have like robot battles, do you? They're
We
just
do.
different competitions. Have you has any of your bots ever been in a robot battle where they've had the wheels taken out?
Ooh. I think in my first year, two of our wheels fell off while we were practicing a fight for for a competition. The wheels just fell off and nobody fixed it for like 2 weeks.
I would have been very happy, but yeah.
That was not.
But so if you had your own idea to design a bot without having to cooperate with everybody else, what would your best bot design be? Like if you were building your own bot.
I actually don't know because that's not my area of expertise, but I think it depend on which game we were doing, and I think I'd still go with the one from last year, even though we worked with people to make that. I like the design we had last year, the one with the pusher and the string offload.
They do get a little pushy when guarding
Guarding.
goals. They had a bot stuck to another last year, and it required taking both apart to fix it.
I think that was ours. Yeah.
So,
Oh, never mind. Yeah.
so the question comes down to the fact of building the bot, coding the bot is how long of a process?
Oh, that really depends on what you're doing because setting up the drivetrain, it doesn't take that long. You just have to get like the frame of the bot made first with the motors all intact and the wires, just so you know where to connect things when you're coding. But it takes maybe, if you're working fast, maybe 3 hours, but if you're working a bit slow, about a week. It does not take that long to set up autonomous either, but if you want to do something fancy, it takes maybe 1 week, 2 weeks. Really depends on how much time you have.
So the question is, who gets stuck coding, who gets stuck building?
So for my team, we have, I am the programmer. The team captain, he does code sometimes, and he also does build most of the time. We have a builder. I don't believe they've built anything yet. So mainly the team captain gets stuck doing both jobs unless I'm there.
How many people to a team?
Over 3, I
There's-
believe. You can't be on a team of 2. It depends.
So you have to have 3 or more on your team.
I believe so.
Yeah, you got to have one to carry it, one to program it, one to operate it, and one to build it.
Yeah. Actually the carrying part, that's very true because sometimes at some point I was on a team of 2, no, a team of 3, but the one person that we designated to carry the bot was not there that day. So one of us was stuck trying to get to skills and filling out paperwork, and I was supposed to be coding, but I had to hold the bot and carry my computer at the same time. And that year that bot was heavy, so you really do need a third person to carry it.
So technically, you go and you recruit the jocks after football or whatever. Say, here, guess what? You get to carry this big lugging thing around.
Maybe.
Or you let the teacher carry it. One of the two.
I think the ag students are better suited for carrying it because sometimes they work with cows and trees.
Oh, I forgot. They've got those. Never mind. When I went to school down there, I wasn't, I only went until I moved up to New York. So about 13, I was in elementary school, so I didn't get the privileges of doing most of my education down there.
Yeah. It's nice down here, the education. They have good classes. Especially for ag and robotics. Engineering.
So my question to you is, now that you're in high school, do you guys have plans to go? Do you especially have plans to go farther into robotics, or do you have a whole different idea of schooling coming to mind?
Do you mean like university?
Yeah, like when you decide to go to college.
So, I believe for my team, from the few people that have told me, they don't plan to go further into robotics. They want to continue it until high school, but I don't think they want to make it a professional thing, and neither do I, but it's a good skill to have in case I want to go back to it.
So, what are you planning on pursuing once you're out of high school?
I want to
Besides guys.
I want to try to pursue animation because that's something that I'm getting better at.
Have you had a chance to actually look at any of my Facebook albums?
Yes.
So you've seen the Anime North pictures.
Yes, I look through them when I'm bored.
Geez, at least I know my pictures are worth being looked at when people are bored.
Or whenever I need to, when I'm curious about you,
It's hard to figure me out, isn't it? Because I have so many different albums with different subjects.
I know at some point you had an album for foxes.
Yeah, I had a fox. That fox, that album is still there. That fox was by my house. He got clipped by a car, and we think he got a little traumatic brain injury. But I did find out he recovered. He was rehabbed and released back into the wild. I can't say that any deer that I've seen hit or accidentally bumped into didn't get invited home for dinner. You're actually enrolled in engineering and robotics through Louisiana State University for your junior and senior year.
It's a class that my STEM teacher, my math teacher, he teaches. He said I could mention his name if he wanted, Mr. Blanchard. He's very good. He teaches algebra, engineering, and recently he's the robotics coach for us. So yeah, that's what I do. He teaches it through LSU, but it's at our school.
Will that actually give you credits?
I have no idea.
That would be something you'd want to ask him. Do I get a little bit of college credits for this?
Maybe. Maybe not.
So, my question is, what is your favorite anime?
Ooh, probably Inuyasha right now. It's kind of old, but yeah.
Your mom's chiming in. So, I will be honest, my introduction to anime was Fist of the North Star, which
I don't
was
think I've heard of that.
it was based on a post-apocalyptic time. It was a martial arts thing. It was like martial arts, and this guy, all you have to do is he would hit you once, like in a certain area, and then the way the movie went, or the anime went, when he hit you in that location, your head or that body part would swell up to the point where it exploded.
Oh, I've heard of that.
And then there's like other ones that I've watched too. There's one called Lady Death, which is a Japanese animation. The guy who runs my cosplay group is going to be doing or working on a anime costume that he likes that involves firefighters and stuff like that.
I know that one. I think one of my friends watches that.
I've seen a lot when I was when I go to Anime North. I see a lot of different anime characters, but I also see, like the normal Pokemon and stuff like that. There's been a big surge of Mandalorians
Oh yeah, The
lately.
Mandalorian. It's great.
So after let me ask this question. I keep forgetting to ask this question. How long does your robotics season last?
Oh, the season? Mostly all year.
So it's all year kind of.
All school year.
Yeah. Do you miss it during the summer?
Oh, we still have to go during the summer sometimes. They ask us to clean up our mess from the previous year because we're bad at doing that. Screws everywhere.
Well, yeah, when you got robots that have screws loose a lot,
Yeah.
But I meant, like, do you miss the competition, the building, and the coding when you have your summer break?
Yeah, sometimes. Not so much the coding though, because I still code on my laptop at home when I work on my things that I make. Oh yeah, the games that I make sometimes. That's what they're called.
The games. The games. But I've seen a lot of different robots from, like I said, the Robot Wars
Oh yeah.
on TV, battle bots, whatever you want to call them. And they have to disassemble their bots every year.
Yeah.
So, how many? Let me ask this question in this way: how many awards has your teams earned the school?
I think I don't know. Maybe I don't know if there is any because I haven't been on a team that has won an award. As far as I know, maybe one, two, maybe five. Thing has been going on for years, so there could quite possibly be some. In our school has a like hall where they showcase all their trophies. I might have to look at that and see if there are any for the robotics in there.
What would be? I'm trying to think how this. What would be if you were given? If you exactly were given the freedom to do a design for a robot, what would you put on it?
Probably a claw and one of the pusher things. That's what I'd put on there. They're two of the best assets that I've worked with in terms of coding and driving.
What has been the worst attachments on on a robot that you've seen? Not that you've had to code, but that you've actually seen on a robot.
That I've seen.
In the competitions you've been through, what has been the worst attachment that you think would have caused the most problems?
There was last year, they had a bunch of, instead of people who just let their strings down, they had string launchers for some of the richer schools. And one of them malfunctioned and hit someone in the head. That was the worst attachment I've seen.
So technically, mostly it was just an error. Like you had to wait, and it just almost like a little air cannon that blew the string out.
Yep.
Me, I would probably use a catapult, like an old mousetrap to just toss it that way.
That might work. That might have worked. You'd have to create a mechanism to work it though.
So, out of the time that you've been in this program, have you learned anything besides the normal stuff?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They always say like, oh, you learn the power of friendship or something. No, you learn who's really your friends during stressful situations and who's not, and who you want to be around, because these events can get very stressful sometimes. And if some of your teammates don't know how to cope with stress very well and be around other people without like exploding at them, you may not want that person to be on your team. So it taught me how to manage stress in that area a bit better, and how to pick my teammates.
Well, let's just put it this way. You don't want your uncle standing by. Well, not right now, at least. Neither one of your uncles, actually. Because your other uncle, we won't go there. There's just been, I don't know how to explain it. There's been hard times and stupidity all around for years. And like one of my favorite shirts says, duct tape doesn't fix stupid. But it makes it quiet.
You can fix the bots though.
Yeah, 1,000-mile-per-hour tape works awesome. That's what the race car drivers jokingly say. It's 1,000-mile-per-hour tape. But the other question I have is, how do they rank you guys?
Based on the amount of wins you've gotten and how well you've performed.
I meant, like, say, for example, you go into a competition. Do they rank you by weight class, do they rank you by weight class, size, or by what each competition's going to be?
For us, there's only two ranks in our competitions. There's IQ, and that's for like the younger people. And then there's Vex, and there are different types of Vex tournaments, but they do not class you based on the weight of your bot or the size. They're all 18 by 18 inches or under 18 by 18 inches. They just throw you all together.
That must be a mess.
Not really, as long as you're following the rules, everything actually goes pretty smoothly somehow. It's a great program.
So, my other question is, if you're looking at, like, how do you yourself size up some of your competition that you've had? Without causing, inter school issues or drama with other schools, how do you rank some of the schools that you've went up against or people that you've went up in competitions?
Well, it's all actually very friendly, but if they start to play dirty during the competitions, that you'll start to like see them as a red flag in your head, and you'll anytime they start to do stuff, you're going to notice that more, and you're going to have to get a referee on them sometimes in other people's competitions or your own.
So technically, you look at it as as friendly competition, but
Yeah.
I'm more when I say rank is I know you talk about the schools that have a lot more money. You said a couple times they have a lot more money. They have better tools, better bots.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had to rank the bots in your section of schools, not the better schools, but just within your section of schools, which bots do you think held up better or have a better chance of finishing going to the finals?
The bigger bots with a lot more assets are usually the ones who end up winning. Because if you pair them against a smaller bot, they're going to be a lot more like advantaged. But if you put a bunch of them together, the fights take a while because they're all equally. The bigger bots usually win. Sometimes smaller bots, if they're fast enough, will win against the bigger and slower bots. But yeah, the bigger bots are better most of the time because they have more resources.
It seems like it wouldn't, how do I put this? It wouldn't be fair to put a school who has better money versus a school that has lesser money.
It may not seem fair, but they don't, how do I put this? It really depends because it doesn't seem fair, but it all comes down to how hard each of them has worked. Because even though sometimes some don't have as many resources as the other, they have better tactics. It comes down to the people mostly, because sometimes people with less resources end up putting in more effort because they rely on their tactics to win, and sometimes people with more resources don't have enough tactics and end up losing. But that's not always the case. I'm not saying that people with more resources are worse or people with less are worse. It all comes down to the people. So it isn't really black and white on what's fair and what's not.
So my question is, on an average, like say the bot you're working on now, how much of it is actual build and how much of it is computer coding?
I'd say about half and half.
So, okay, then the other question is, how much coding does it goes into getting a bot to do what it's supposed to do without having somebody up technically right over the top of it.
Actually,
Like if you wanted it to do stuff
yeah.
on its own
versus
versus
for autonomous controlled, I think for controlled it takes more code because you have to code the controller, but for autonomous it can do things by itself without being controlled. It takes less code, I believe, but it might take a lot more trial and error.
So it takes more coding for it to go autonomous versus controlled.
Takes more for controlled, but there is more like trial runs that there's more testing put into autonomous.
So, because I'm technically stupid about this whole process. How many times? Oh, I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. Well, I'll use Star Trek terms. How many computer simulations go into getting your bot ready for a competition? How many times do you have to run it through the computer to see if it's going to do the job that it's supposed to do?
I'd say a lot of people just do that once, but if you really want to make sure that your bot is going to work no matter what situation, you should do it at least 2 to 3 times. And if you're really cautious, probably a lot more than that. I know I've done a lot more than that because I know that sometimes some things can get in the way or things won't be set up exactly the same. So it takes a lot more than you'd think. A lot more like computer simulations.
How many times have you had a bot that you've programmed to do something go and do something totally not programmed or do the opposite of what it was programmed to do? Like, say you programmed it to go forward and for some reason it just didn't go forward, it went in reverse.
Oh, that when that happens, that has happened a few times, but it mostly with the controlled aspect. That doesn't really happen with autonomous if you know what you're doing and if you're experienced enough, but sometimes for the controllers, things can get a little bit messed up or won't save properly and the controls can be reversed. Or you can make a mistake and accidentally set them to be reversed. So it doesn't happen often in like a spontaneous way. It's mostly by programmer's error that happens. Like you don't notice.
Have you guys ever experienced a cross wiring? Or no, not cross wiring. What I'm trying to come up with, say you're at a competition, your bot's on controller. Have you ever had to deal with a controller interference issue?
No, but during my first year of STEM, the controller chargers that they have at the arenas, they stopped working and people's controllers kept dying.
That's when you bring a power unit of your own.
I've known a few kids that have
Power banks.
It's kind of, oh yeah, but it's kind of hard to find a plug that'll actually work with the type of controllers we have.
Well, if it's like a PlayStation controller, you just get a PlayStation cable and hook it to a charger.
Unfortunately, it's not.
So, again, Mike, the question comes down to, I know you've got it's like technically radio signals that are going to the bot from the controller. Has there ever been an issue where one controller, like say you're battling another school and you've had frequency tie-ups or issues.
Absolutely not. That has never happened. No, that has not happened.
Now watch that I said something. It'll happen.
That'll be funny. That'd be funny. I'd be sure to let you know.
It would be one of those, oh, we're using this frequency, and then all of a sudden the bot starts doing stuff that the controller guy's not doing, and it's like, why is it doing that? Because I know when I've played video games at different conventions, and for some reason, out of nowheres, the guy that I was playing next to, his controller overrid the controller I was using, and yeah, totally toasted my game.
Ooh, that's
well, you're playing stuff like Assassin's Creed where you have to a certain button combination, a certain movements, but all of a sudden your guy jumps off a building and you didn't tell him to jump off a building, and you're like, I know I don't have controller drift.
That might be because of a controller interference or because of faulty code somewhere. Or your game might be overheated.
Yeah, my
Something
game.
like that.
I've got a PS3 that needs a new thermal pasting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we won't
Pasting.
talk about the poor PS3 that's backwards compatible. Yeah, I called Sony and asked them if I could send it in for repair, and they said, yeah, we'll send you a new unit that's not backwards compatible. What? I'm sending you my backwards compatible, and you're going to send me a non-backwards compatible one? Oh, we don't fix those anymore. Yeah, okay. I'll find somebody else who fix it. But we're down to like the last 7 minutes, so thank you for taking your time out of your busy schedule, being a teenager, to jump up on here, talk with me for an hour, almost an hour. And I will, as soon as I get the actual links to the YouTube, Twitch, and the Facebook link, I will drop you a message with them.
All right.
What'll probably happen is they'll be all grouped into a one thing, but it'll have. So I'll send them to you separately. But if this link that I sent to you will bring you to this page anyway.
All right.
And right now it says we have 34 comments, and most of them were from your mom, but
She loves me.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I know everybody can hear me, but it's like I'm trying
Oh,
to.
she's over there.
But
Yeah, I can hear you too.
I just got asked, "Are you home?" No, I'm not.
You don't look like you're home.
No, my roommate was asking. I wonder if she went up in her room for the night. But like I said, we're down to the last 6 minutes, so I'm gonna tell everybody: be safe, be strong, and see ya. Talk to you guys later.